Trooper Proctor gets reduced to nothing but a dummy gun and yells, "Get the F off my lawn," to local news reporter just hours after Bev declares a mistrial. What the heck is going on in the Karen Reed case? Because, y'all, it ain't over. Hello, 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 and welcome to Alexa's Room, where we are not lawyers, we are not law enforcement, we are not medical professionals, we are just people who have opinions about all things going on in the true crime community, including what the heck is going on with the Karen Reed case, because y'all, the saga ain't over. If you missed my video from the other day, you missed probably the biggest news of the century. Judge Beverly Cannoni, as we live and breathe, has declared a mistrial in the Karen Reed case after 5 days of jury deliberation. I think it was approximately 27 hours. The jury could not come up with a unanimous verdict. Apparently, there's been a lot of talk swirling around the interwebs. I can't confirm or deny whether or not these sources are accurate or not, but allegedly, two of the alternate jurors who were excused before deliberation began for the jury said that they would have been a not guilty verdict. It's still up to debate as to what the split exactly was. I know Sean on the Gulf. I think he's a retired FBI agent. He has some sources who were reporting that the split was more based around the lesser included charges, which makes the most sense to me because I don't see on either side anyone really buying into the fact that this was an intentional um, accident that Karen Reed caused. I mean, I don't believe that there was any proof that John O'Keefe was even struck by a vehicle, let alone Karen Reed's vehicle. I mean, one, you couldn't pull any information from her car, and two, Karen Reed connected to John O'Keefe's Wi-Fi network at 12:36 a.m. And for that for me is like the most damning evidence to prove that she was not physically there when allegedly John O'Keefe was struck by a vehicle and died. So there's that. I have a whole video actually about like Lally's timeline and disproving a couple things, just stuff that didn't make sense, stuff that he was changing in his closing argument compared to his opening statements when the trial began as well. So feel free, I'll link the video in the description below. You can check it out. But today I want to start things off by diving into this news about Trooper Proctor, who was relieved of his duties just hours after Bev declared a mistrial. And a lot of people are wondering, why did they wait this long to take action? They already had access to this information. I mean, there were letters that were going on behind the scenes between the feds and the DA's office months ago. So it's not like this is new information to them. And the way that they're putting this information out, and we're going to get to John Mons, I think he's a colonel or the superintendent of the state of Massachusetts police, whatever his title is. I feel like everybody likes to make up like different names and titles. And it's like, okay, like, are you this thing or are you that thing? But we're going to get into his statement a little bit later. But the way that he phrased a couple things, it almost seemed like this was new information that only came out during the trial, during Michael Proctor's testimony. And even still, I mean, Proctor testified, what, like over 2 weeks ago? So if that is the first time that you're learning about it, which it's not, because of all these back and forth letters, which we will get to either in this video today or in a later video, probably tomorrow, where I'll do a whole deep dive. It's about 15 pages long. I got the receipts. But yeah, this isn't the first time you're hearing it, dude. So stop trying to pull one over us because we're paying attention. So we're going to get into what happened and why he is so mad in just a second. All right, let me pull this up. I think I'm already actually sharing my screen. I just got to add this to. There we go. Technology, it's a beautiful thing. Michael Proctor relieved of duty, state police say after Karen Reed mistrial. Yep. So Massachusetts State Police say Trooper Michael Proctor, who came under fire for his text he sent as lead investigator. And remember that he said like case manager or something to try to distance himself as much from being the lead investigator, even though it's been noted in a handful of reports that he was in fact the lead investigator. but I digress. In the Karen Reed case is being transferred from the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. I always want to say North Fork because I'm from Long Island, so excuse me, bear with me, guys. Massachusetts State Police have taken action against Trooper Michael Proctor after mistrial was declared Monday in the case against Karen Reed. So again, the biggest question is why? Were you hoping that there would be a verdict? And if so, were you hoping for a guilty verdict? And would Trooper Proctor still have his gun and badge? Would he still be flinging that thing around, driving around, doing his thing, getting paid? I don't know. Proctor drew heavy criticism after testifying in the case for which he served as lead investigator. And there's the two magic words, right? Lead investigator, revealing a series of inappropriate texts he sent about Reed. So if you're new to this case, or if you're new to this channel, and you're new to just again what the heck is going on, there are a lot of witnesses in this case, but he's essentially the main character, aside from obviously John O'Keefe and Karen Reed, right? But Proctor, yeah, Proctor testified like over 2 weeks ago. I did a whole video breaking down his testimony. I'm not going to go through his text messages again, just because one, they're extremely distasteful. They're really, again, really inappropriate, but also just very upsetting, especially if you have somebody who suffers with similar medical conditions or illnesses as Karen Reed does. Just stuff that I think no jury needed to hear, nobody needed to hear. And it just proves the kind of deplorable human being he is. And anybody who feels bad for Elizabeth Proctor is just why? Why? You don't have to choose to be with this human S stain. You could be with somebody who actually treats their job honorably and is somebody that children can look up to, right? Because this guy's a father too, guys. When you read through these texts, I mean, it's just, you'll be like, how? How are we still talking about this case? But I digress. So this is part of the statement that John Mon made. We're going to get to his full statement in just a little bit. I have a clip I'm going to pull up. Upon learning today's result, the department took immediate action to relieve Trooper Proctor of duty and formally transfer him out of the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office State Police Detectives Unit. So he was a detective and he lost his badge. Wah, wah, wah. We don't care. Sorry. Sorry, Trooper Proctor. See ya. John Mon, interim superintendent of the Massachusetts State Police. So I guess that's his official title. I saw a colonel. I don't know. Wrote in a statement that follows our previous decision to open up an internal affairs investigation after information about serious misconduct emerged in testimony at the trial. This investigation is ongoing. No, John Mon, you guys had access to that information months ago, because you know who had access to that information? The feds. So, no, you were fully aware of this long before he testified. So, stop it. So, stop it. You're not fooling anybody. Anybody who's been paying attention to this case and who watched the trial knows that. So, stop that. If you guys don't believe me, we're going to get to those letters because I got them. I got the receipts, y'all. I got the receipts. So again, this goes into the background of what the case is. Karen Reed being accused of striking her police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe, January 29, 2022, outside the Camden home of Brian Albert. I might break down his testimony as well, too. I might work backwards in the trial since there was a lot of testimony I hadn't covered. I'm a little bit jumping to the YouTube game kind of in the middle of this thing. A fellow officer with the Boston Police Department. Prosecutors argued Reed hit him with her SUV and left him to die, whereas her defense team believes she was framed in a cover-up, which I tend to believe. But that's my opinion. That's why we have the court of public opinion, because we are entitled as American citizens to have opinions and observe things. So Proctor became the lead investigator after the state police were called. So again, lead investigator, not case manager or whatever you want to call yourself. After state police were called in because Albert has a brother with the Camden Police Department. So Brian Albert brothers with Kevin Albert. Kevin Albert and Proctor are drinking buddies. Kevin Albert likes to leave his gun and badge in places he doesn't remember. And Proctor likes to help Kevin Albert by putting his gun and badge in a mailbox or whatever. I forget what he said. But it was just crazy because when you go through the testimony, he's like, "Oh, well, I wouldn't call ourselves close, but you go out drinking to the extent where your eh, your friend is getting so drunk and leaving his gun and badge in places he can't find." Which one is like what? Like you're a police officer, like how is that safe? That doesn't make me feel safe. Thank God I'm not a taxpayer. I feel so bad for the people it can because I'd be like, this is how my tax dollars are being spent. Okay, great, awesome, love that, love that journey. But Proctor's own connection with other witnesses. So Kevin Albert's not the only one. They worked on, according to him, they worked on some cold cases together. Him and Kevin Albert, and would occasionally go out for a few drinks. But it definitely seemed a little bit more buddy buddy than that. Proctor's own connection with other witnesses were called into question at the trial. So, yeah, it doesn't just stop there with the Albert family. Proctor acknowledged that he is close with his sister Courtney, and it seems kind of grossly close because they talk to each other like multiple times a day over text. I mean, look, I'm not judging because I know people are gonna come at me and probably be like, "I'm super close to my siblings." I know my wife too, like, she calls her sister at least once a day, calls her mom every single day, sometimes twice a day, but usually, like, for a FaceTime call. We also don't live near them anymore, so, I'm fairly certain that Courtney Proctor lives fairly close to her brother, so and allegedly all their conversations are just about their kids, which is just I don't know anybody who only talks about their kids. But I digress. I digress. Courtney, who is friends with Julie Albert, who offered to give Proctor gifts. Remember that one in his testimony, guys? Yep, that was a fun one. The homeowner's sister-in-law. The trooper came under fire after testifying about texts. So the big thing that everybody wants to lean on are the text messages. Yes, they are disgusting and deplorable, but let's not forget the complete botched investigation on his end. I mean, one, you're the lead investigator and you don't even go to the crime scene the day that the crime was committed, like when people found the body, you call 911. You don't even go to the crime scene until days later when pieces of taillight start to reveal themselves magically. That's the first time you go to 34 Fairview. I thought that was weird. I don't know if anybody else thinks that's bizarre, but I think that's personally weird. Wouldn't that be the first place you go? And then you start going to interview other witnesses? That's just my opinion. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's standard procedure, but I don't think it is. In them, he called Reed a whack job and a CUNT, made disparaging remarks about medical conditions. Yep, like I talked about earlier, and said he had found no nudes so far when going through her phone. So yeah, just locker room talk, right, with his buddies. When a friend said they were sure the owner of the house will receive some SHIT, some poo poo, Proctor replied, "Nope, the homeowner is a Boston cop too." And I think he tried to explain that away with some weird deflective excuse of what he thought that could have meant. Some of the troopers' texts about Reed were sent to his wife, Elizabeth Proctor. Ooh, yeah, we're going to see a cameo from her in this video too, guys. And anybody who feels bad for her, don't feel bad for her because any woman who could she is a stand by her man kind of gal, and like you're a loser. Girl, you're a loser. Like I know you like your little like probably cushy life. Your man's a state police trooper, whatever, but if you really had self-respect and you cared about your child, I mean, can you imagine like as a parent like, saying like, "Yeah, this is your dad, he's somebody you should look up to, this is how he talks about women." Like, is this how he talks about you? Are you just, like, so, like, used to being called that? I mean, I hope not. I hope that's not the case, I don't wish that upon anybody, but, like, that's the only thing I could think of, unless you're just a deplorable human being as well. Um Both told reporter Kathy Curran to get off their lawn while she was on a public street. This is so hilarious, guys. I fully support my husband, Elizabeth Proctor said as they were walking inside. Karen Reed's a murderer. A murderer. Regarding Trooper Michael Proctor being relieved of duty, conduct has consequences. Reed's attorneys said. David Yannetti and Alan Jackson said in a statement Monday night. DA Michael Morrissey backed this misogynist, corrupt cop, and 2 hours after he announced he will pursue a second trial against an innocent woman, Karen Reed, the Massachusetts State Police announced that Michael Proctor, the lead investigator, for the Commonwealth, has been relieved of duty because of serious misconduct that emerged in testimony at the trial. We look forward to another opportunity to reveal the truth about this unjust prosecution. Good luck. Yep, well said. On the witness stand, Proctor said his words were unprofessional and regrettable. Yeah, but it had no bearing on the integrity of the case. Following Proctor's testimony, legal analyst, Michael Coyne. Yeah, there's a lot going around. I mean, like, can you even use this guy in round 2? Like, what are people supposed to think? Like, he's been reduced to a dummy gun. Like, how do you find that anything this guy says credible? I mean, after any of those text messages were read, how do you find anything this guy says as credible? I don't personally, but what do you guys think? So let's get into this clip, this cheeky clip about Proctor. This is from, again, NBC 10 Boston. And this was just yesterday.
Tonight at 6, but let's begin with NBC 10 investigator Kathy Curran. Kathy, you just spoke exclusively with one of the central figures in this case, State Police Trooper Michael Proctor. We all know his name, and it sounds like he wasn't thrilled to see you.
Well, Glenn, there's a lot of pressure on the lead investigator, Trooper Michael Proctor. We heard the disturbing texts about Karen Reed that he sent to friends, family members, and coworkers. There's an internal investigation by state police, and we know there's an ongoing federal investigation into how this case was handled. Proctor was at his home in Canton this afternoon when the Karen Reed case ended in a mistrial. We caught up with him just a few moments ago to ask him his thoughts on the outcome of the case. Trooper Proctor, Kathy Curran from NBC 10. We'd like to ask you some questions. Do you think your actions impacted the outcome of the trial?
Get off your lawn. Right?
I'm not on your lawn. I'm on the street. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
I fully support my husband. Karen Reed is a murderer.
You support your husband?
Oh, you're the only one, girl.
And you heard it there. His wife fully supports him and called Karen Reed a murderer. Testimony in the case showed Proctor was familiar with witnesses in this case. We reached out to state police about Proctor's current status with the department. They told us he's still employed and had no further comment at this time. Kathy Curran, NBC 10 investigators.
So this dude's still collecting checks. Some people believe, I don't know how this works. I don't know. But I just don't see, at least from a trial perspective, how you can possibly put him back on the stand. I mean, it's just going to be a clown show. I don't even see how you find a non-biased jury. Like, what venue do you go to? Where do you try this case again? Who do you call this time for the Commonwealth? I mean, I don't know, especially with more and more. I mean, the more this prolongs, the more stuff that's going to come out likely. And if there really is an internal investigation going on, I mean, I think nothing's really going to probably come of that one. They all want to protect their own, right? But with a federal investigation, we just don't know. There's got to be way more that's going to come out. Probably before that. I mean, maybe before the July 22nd hearing when they come back to court. Bev, at the end of the video that I posted yesterday, not the end of the video, but at the end of her little spiel about how she's declaring mistrial, she was organizing a couple of dates to see when the lawyers could meet to determine what, if anything, and if when the Commonwealth would be ready to potentially retry this case. So we'll be following that closely there. But I wanted to share, I haven't seen this clip in full yet. I've seen bits and pieces from what's been posted on Twitter. I'm just adjusting in my new chair. I got like a weird cramp in my leg. Sorry, guys. It's like a new setup for me, and I'm trying to like find my comfort space. Okay, comfy now. This is John Maughan. Yeah, I'm gonna post. Yeah, I'm gonna pull this one. This is John Maughan. He's the superintendent of the Massachusetts State Police. This is again, this is CBS Boston. So I haven't seen this yet. I'm gonna probably speed it up a little bit. But notice how all these guys look the same too, like him and Morrissey. They look like they could be twins, right?
Yeah, I think I've been very clear, and I want to remain very clear. Misconduct in any way, shape, or form of the Massachusetts State Police will not be tolerated. I think I've said that I condemn those comments in the strongest terms possible. They are not reflective of the Massachusetts State Police. That's not where we want to be in as an organization. And I believe that we will certainly continue to monitor that as we are moving through the process of our internal affairs investigation. Again, due process, we are evaluating that, looking at it. We're going to continue to investigate it. We have, as you know, initiated an internal affairs investigation early on in this process. Part of that is to monitor the case that was ongoing. We wanted to make sure we had all the information available to us through the trial process. I also want to point out that trial process currently is unresolved, and we have an open internal affairs investigation.
Isn't that interesting though? He said, he pretty much said like, oh, we had this information prior to this trial, but we were waiting until it went to trial and for him to like, did you not think this was all going to come out? Like, come on now. Come on now. You were waiting for it to blow. Like, why didn't you just nip it in the bud?
So I'm not really in a place where I'm going to comment on that any further. I will say very generally that we monitored the criminal trial in an effort to get as much information as possible, as it may or may not reflect on members of the Massachusetts State Police and their conduct. And we wanted to make sure we had all of that before we made a decision. We also wanted to respect the trial process, and we want to be mindful of the ongoing internal affairs investigation.
No, you wanted to wait and see if there was going to be a guilty verdict, because if there was, then you wouldn't have to do anything. That's what I honestly believe. I think they were all holding out for a guilty verdict, so that they could just kind of sweep all of this under the rug instead of taking accountability, doing the right thing. I mean, again, it goes beyond the text messages. I mean, those are deplorable. They're disgusting. They're absolutely the most like mind-boggling text messages I've probably, just like any man talking about any woman ever. It goes beyond locker room talk. It's just vile and disgusting. This goes to the botched investigation. Again, just not doing due diligence. Freaking going through Karen Reed's phone. Like, seizing her car without a warrant. Like, okay. Seizing her phone without a warrant.
Yeah, we're going to continue to look at this, and we are hyper-focused on that right now. We have been in a process for the past 16 months of evaluating places for improvement. We are very mindful that there are always improvements to be made on the Massachusetts State Police. We have drilled down and concentrated our efforts on 6 general areas, all that are reflective of what we do on a daily basis and how we are perceived in the public eye. We want to continue to make sure that we can provide the services to the public that they demand and deserve. Those areas where we're concentrating most of our efforts now are, I could break them down and say that in no particular order: community trust, legitimacy, and engagement; diversity; culture as a standalone issue for the Mass State Police, examining that both externally and internally; training; leadership and wellness; and media and public relations. Those are the areas that we're focusing on, have been focusing on for the past 16 months.
I like how they mentioned diversity too. Like, yes, we all know that you're white cops. Like, there wasn't one that, like, as far as I know, there wasn't one colored police officer that was involved in this investigation. Do you guys know of any? So I am everybody's like, oh, it's the old boys club, but it's also the old white boys club. So there's something to that as well too. So wanted to call that one out.
Well, I think we're gonna see additional scrutiny on all of these investigations as a result of what has come about in regards to the most recent trial, and we're prepared for that.
Public confidence, and what do you see as your ability to affect that? And related to that, what the governor told you, what her expectations are for the agency?
Yeah, I think it's incumbent upon us to be in a continuous cycle of earning, maintaining public trust and legitimacy. That's we cannot do our job effectively without that.
Well, you do that by not storing evidence in Stop and Shop bags. That's probably step one. Step two would probably be not to collect blood evidence in solo cups. Like you're a bunch of fraternity boys trying to play beer pong. Like maybe let's meet the bare minimum requirements and then like talk about like legitimacy, like how to actually do your job accurately, how to do it effectively. Because again, if I was I just can't believe it. Like this is why the people at Canon are pissed off. And if you don't believe me, you can go and look at I think the Young Jerks, they cover they do a lot of work recording some of the select board hearings where again people at Canton, they go up, they go to these board meetings, and they express their concerns. They can vocalize their concerns about their community and what they think needs to be changed. And I'd be pissed. This is how my tax dollars are being spent to fund, like, this is the police department that I'm supposed to have faith and trust in.
We are hyper focused on being able to do that and conducting ourselves in a way that demonstrates that we can do that and that we are worthy of trust. And as we move forward in this organization, we will be mindful of that, and we will be making sure that we're all doing our very best to show the public that we can be what they need us to be. I'm not in a position really to say anything about anybody else's investigation. I will tell you that we are still actively involved because there is a trial process ongoing, and we are certainly actively involved in the internal affairs process. Yeah, well, we have to take this head on. We have to be accountable to ourselves, to each other, to the residents and visitors to the Commonwealth. We have to look in the mirror. We have to be hyper focused on making sure that we are professional and that we are in a continuous cycle of evaluation and improvement and refinement. And we need to work very hard to engage the public in a more meaningful way so that we can understand what it is that we need to do and where we want to go in order to maintain trust, build trust, and in some cases regain it. And I believe that those 6 fundamental areas that we're pushing forward are going to help us do that. I'm confident of it.
Dude, and like I like how he mentions like PR as an issue. Like, no, the people of Canada don't give a crap about that. They don't care about your public image. They want to know that they're protected and safe, and that the money that they're spending to fund these investigations and the trial for this retrial. If you really believe in justice for John O'Keefe, for a fellow police officer, why not do your due diligence and try to actually get down to the bottom of this and listen to your people? Go to these hearings, ask them, talk to them, go out into your community instead of hiding behind these, like, all these little microphones behind the cameras and saying, oh yeah, we're going to do all these things, and we're doing this internal investigation right now. Like, something that should have been done months and months ago. When you had this information long before the trial, you could have stopped this trial from happening. You all could have. But you decided to push it through. I mean, I know that I think ultimately that's up to Morrissey, but I assume that you could have a hand in it as well too. You could say, hey dude, this is let's stop the gas for a second. Like, let's just see, let the feds do their investigation. Let's help them. Let's figure out, let's go back. Are there people that we can re-interview? Like, what can we do? Let's talk to our community. but you didn't want to do any of that.
Yeah, I know we were involved in that in a variety of ways. That is a Worcester Police Department investigation. It would probably be better to ask that question of them. We were in a support role. It's a role we find ourselves in frequently, a resource provider and force multiplier for the Worcester Police Department.
That's not the topic. So essentially, once the trial concluded, you were making these remarks before taking action, but now you're in a situation where you're between trials.
Right.
You anticipate taking action before the next trial, and is will the action that you take against Michael Proctor, if any, are you concerned that will have a big impact on the outcome of the trial?
Well, I think in regards to the action we took, yesterday, the important piece for us was to continuously monitor the trial, to take the information provided during the pendency of that trial in-house in order to make the decisions that we made. We made the decisions we made yesterday based on things that we learned during the trial process and in other ways. I can't speak to the impact that it may have moving forward. I know that for us as an organization, we wanted to make sure we took appropriate and decisive action when we had as much information that would allow us to do that, and we did.
You did, but you had that information. And there you have it. There you have it. They were essentially waiting for a guilty verdict to come in to see if they could sweep all of this stuff under the rug. That is the impression that I got. Let me know what you guys think in the description below. It just seems like a whole lot of lack of accountability and also like just awareness about what your people are trying to convey to you and trying to tell you. So that was John Maughan. I'm seeing so many different ways that people are titling him colonel. I've seen superintendent, maybe use all of the above. I don't know how those rankings work. So yeah, those are the main two clips that I wanted to read out to you right now. And then I think this was another statement I saw. I think this is, I don't know if this is from Morrissey himself. Not from Morrissey. This was a statement from State Police Association of Massachusetts. That I saw from Sleuthy Goosey on Twitter. On behalf of the 2,000 men and women who compromised the State Police Association of Massachusetts, our thoughts are with the O'Keefe family. The loss they have suffered is immense. We remained hopeful that justice will be served so the family receives the closure they deserve. The trial shined a bright light on our judicial process and the nuances of legal proceedings. It also blurred the lines between fact and innuendo presented during the defense of the accused. So yeah, exactly as Sleuthy Goosey said it. They're shifting the blame to the defense for insinuating, yeah, this is a cover-up. It's a cover-up. And what if anything, I feel like the defense did a good job of at least proving an immense amount of reasonable doubt. But it after a while, how many coincidences can you have before it feels like a cover up? While the courts considered next steps, the focus has shifted to yesterday's disciplinary action taken against Trooper Michael Proctor. It is our understanding that this discipline came as a result of the trooper's private text message exchanges that were made public during the trial. We also understand that it has no relationship to salacious allegations of cover-ups, collusions, or conspiracy. So they're very much defending the fact that there's no way this is a cover-up. There's no way, guys. Even though you can't take anything this guy says with a grain of salt, even though that inverted video, right? So, okay. The copy and pasted timestamp in the right direction and not inverted if the video was actually inverted. But okay. The association is proud of the work our members, of course you do each day, as well as the fact that our Massachusetts homicide solve rate is the envy of the country. Like, how, oh my God, how narcissistic is that? I can't believe, like, is this real? I can't believe they said it is the envy of the country. I can't believe anybody making a statement like this, but I'm going to do it. Brian Barrera emphasized that we do not condone language used. No criticism of what Proctor was expressed. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I can't believe they would use that. Is the envy of the country. Like, okay, get your heads out of your butts. At the same time, we must be clear that we do not condone the language used in text messages presented as evidence during the trial. Like, essentially disregard it. Like, pretend that he didn't, like, okay, like, he said a couple of few bad things, but he's a good guy. He did his job. He's really good at what he does. Okay, that's why he's misspelt so many names and put down wrong dates and times of things, but okay. Yeah. While these matters evolve, we remain committed to representing the interests of our members and will continue advocating for an educated, highly trained, and diverse. Where I love diverse. People always like to lean on, like, I feel the race card when they know they're under a steaming pile of doo doo. Like, oh, if we hire a couple of diverse candidates, then yeah, we're giving the people what they want. It's like people want justice for John O'Keefe. Like, stop trying to flower us with all this nonsense. Workforce to serve the Commonwealth with pride and distinction. So there you have it. That's the statement from State Police Association. Bleh. Can you say bleh? And I just have one more clip that was circling around. There was a lot. I mean, like, yesterday was wild. There was like, some guy, I guess he was in the courthouse across the street, and I don't know if he was, like, waiting in trial. I don't know the full story about behind that, but he was a convict, and he, like, jeeted out of the courthouse and tried to run through the Karen Reed crowd, and that was, like, a whole thing. There's tons of video footage on that. It's quite hilarious, and people just trying to catch this is all while the jury's in deliberation, mind you. This is a courthouse across the street, and this guy's just, like, running through the Karen Reed crowd trying to escape. So that was pretty funny. Stuff with Turtle Boy is absolutely bonkers. But there was this clip of Paul O'Keefe saying something to Karen Reed. I didn't see this the first time around. I mean, it's no secret that obviously he believes that she murdered his brother, which is ironic because he was involved, as I exposed in my video. I mean, I wasn't the first to do it, but as we exposed yesterday in my video, the other day, Paul O'Keefe was involved in a vehicular motor vehicle accident a couple of years ago, and I think it was 2020 or 2021. And he seriously injured a man. Guess how fast he was going? 24 miles an hour. Now, not in reverse. But he was drunk driving, the irony. And he hit an elderly man. Like, in the middle of, like, I think it was, like, in the middle of a Monday afternoon. It was very bizarre. After, like, leaving the golf club. And he was arrested. He was charged with an OUI. And it's believed, I don't know if this is true or not, that Karen Reed bailed him out. But it was noted in the report that we read that he made a phone call to a family member. Who that family member was, I can only imagine it was John O'Keefe. I don't think the bail was that expensive. I think it was like $500. It was pretty laughably low. But I mean, if you have a police officer brother, he's going to be the first guy you call who's got a wealthy girlfriend. Like, I could totally see that being a thing. I could totally see Karen Reed bailing him out. So I think it's ironic that Paul is, like, so harsh to judge Karen Reed when you literally were involved. Like, this could have been you, dude. You were literally involved in a motor vehicle accident like 2 years before your brother dies. Wild to me. Wild to me. You'd think the guy would have a little bit more understanding and sympathy. I don't know what his deal is. I don't know him. I don't know the O'Keefe family. I don't know. Again, I'm not here to drag him, but I do believe that two things can be true. I think you can be a flawed human being maybe not even the best person possible. I mean, if you're drinking and driving, like, you're already and you injure an elderly man, like, you're already like, what kind of life choices are you making, dude? What kind of life choices are you making? Especially if your brother's girlfriend bails you out of jail. But again, I don't know if that's speculation. I don't know if that's confirmed. If it's confirmed, let me know, if she bailed him out. I don't know them, so I'm not gonna say. But I also think you can be a victim of a horrendous crime or be a victim's family, and for that, I feel bad. I feel bad for you. I don't think anybody should have to go through something like this. It's terrible. But I also don't think you should put victims' families on these pedestals or even the victim. Like they're these angelic figures. Like they aren't flawed and they can't be criticized. And they can't be up for scrutiny. Like you can be a bad person, but also be going through something horrific that nobody should go through. So that's just my 2 cents. So I don't know him, but what I do know is, Paul, if I were you, I'd be, I don't know, probably be a little bit more understanding. That's just my opinion. So again, this is Paul's reaction saying something allegedly after Karen Reed. We're going to start this clip from the beginning. After the Bev dismisses or declares a mistrial. So there's Paul in that blue button down. That's Karen hugging her dad, hugging her family. That's Paul. And he says something right there. Karen reacts. Now, a lot of people are saying, I think that we're not done with you, or I'm not done with you yet. Like some kind of weird threatening language. I don't know. Um, there's no sound to it. The sound cut off at this point. But he's definitely I mean, it's a look. And he's definitely saying something, and this is, I think, his wife. Um, and she again, I'm not a lip reader. I don't know if that's what she's saying. It looks like that's what she could be saying, like, "Stop instigating, relax. Like, what are you gonna do?" And I think that's smart sound advice. Like, yeah, Paul, like, it's not gonna make you look better. And again, I don't want to drag the victim's family, but if you're, I think two things can be true at the same time. I think you can be just not a nice person. I mean, I get it. You're angry, you're upset. If you really believe in your heart of hearts, Karen Reed murdered your brother, I could see you being angry, but I mean, there's a time and a place. And I don't think, like, especially when you know you're being filmed, like, you're aware that eyes are watching you, you're aware that there are cameras on you. And Karen, like, Karen's reaction, I mean, she she looks like, "What the heck?" Like, I'll zoom out and, just back it up a little bit. Yeah. Stop, Yannetti realizes Karen looks a little like, "Whoa, what the heck, man?" And that sounds like a threat. Karen taking things in stride. I mean, it's all speculation. We don't know actually what was said. I mean, unless you were there in the courtroom, the sound wasn't recorded. Um, but it definitely looked like his wife was saying stop. So he definitely made some kind of comment, some kind of negative comment to Karen. I mean, this isn't like recess, dude. Like, this isn't the cafeteria. Like, making threatening statements like that, if that is what you said, in fact, like, it doesn't make you and your family look good. It doesn't make you and your family look any less sympathetic than the Albert family. So, like, now it's the court of public opinion. You know, while we're in this interim, while we're in this weird in between phase of waiting to see what happens. Is this really going to be retried? What are things going to look like on July 22nd? Are we going to have a clearer idea of when the retrial may happen? What information, if any, what if any new information is going to be coming into discovery? Are they going to call Trooper Proctor? Are they going to have to? Are they going to call Trooper Paul? I don't know. Is the defense going to get a whole new team of witnesses? Are they going to recall the ARCA guys? I mean, I can't imagine why they wouldn't. They were hired by the feds. Are the feds going to step in and put an end to all of this? We just don't know. But I'm going to continue following this case extremely close. Like I said in my next video, I know we didn't get to it today. It's getting late. We are going to get in my next video the letters between the DA's office and the feds. And we're going to break down, I think it's about 15 pages long. We're also in the days coming up, we're going to break through some of the other previous testimony and see if there's anything that we can kind of spot out and call out and see and do our own kind of like piecemealing of information together and see what lines up and what doesn't. And going back to prior witness testimony and the reports, it's all out there. There's a lot of information to sift through. Sorry, I'm like slurring my words because I'm so tired. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it and you want to continue following the case closely just as much as I will, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get a reminder the moment I post my next video. Again, it'll be going through those letters between the feds and the DA. And hit a like button because that helps with the algorithm, and small channels like me can use all the support that we can get. And I'm also going to link to the Karen Reed Defense Fund. I think it's like a PayPal. I'm going to link that in my description as well too. If you want to make a donation to her defense team, it's there. If that's what you believe in, if you believe Karen Reed should be free, and if you don't believe she should be free, I'm open to hearing any respectful conversation, discussion that you want to start in the comment section below. I just personally believe like there hasn't been any evidence that has been proven that one, John O'Keefe was struck with a vehicle, and two, he was struck by Karen Reed's vehicle. I just don't see it. If you can prove me wrong, otherwise, I'm more than welcome to talk about it respectfully in the comment section. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.